The Diplomat, 12th of June 2023, Afghanistan's CPEC includes China, a subdued Pakistan, and the Taliban. The Taliban was formed by Pakistan, which also used it to wage war against the United States. It is currently used to maintain control over Afghanistan and enable Chinese exploitation. Mercy Kuo, who writes for The Diplomat, frequently consults with subject matter specialists, policy practitioners, and strategic thinkers worldwide for their many perspectives on U.S.-Asian policy. The 370th interview in the Trans-Pacific View Insight series features independent researcher and former research analyst Claudia Chia from the National University of Singapore's Institute of South Asia Studies. Describe the effects of Afghanistan's recent decision to join the Belt and Road Initiatives, BRI, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. Pakistan and China have frequently released statements regarding Afghanistan's participation in CPEC, and Afghanistan is a recognized member of the BRI. However, until Afghanistan's latest choice, there had been little genuine progress. A major victory for China that undoubtedly sped up the procedure was successfully signing the $540 million, 25-year Amu Darya oil contract between Xinjiang Central Asia Petroleum and Gas, CPEC, and the Taliban-led government in January 2023. For the Taliban to demonstrate their dedication to the Afghan people and the restoration of the Afghan economy, joining CPEC is not a prudent choice. Due to its geographic isolation, Afghanistan would benefit from expanding transit routes through Pakistan and China for trade and exports. However, it remains to be seen whether this development means that the Taliban will move closer to addressing Chinese concerns, such as limiting Uyghur insurgent activity and enhancing security for Chinese personnel. Since the Taliban has not acquired formal recognition from any nation and the previous administration was the signing party for Afghanistan's membership in the BRI, the new administration theoretically lacks the legal authority to enter into a contract. In the long run, it could not be easy to accomplish initiatives. Following the epidemic, the pace of CPEC projects in Pakistan has slowed due to uncertainty and the country's ongoing economic problems. Afghanistan's inclusion may not be helpful, but it shows that the three nations have a strong political commitment to working together. What goals do the Taliban want to achieve by collaborating with CPEC? Due to frozen assets overseas, a lack of international aid, and sanctions, the Taliban remain virtually cash-strapped and unable to go forward with considerable economic and infrastructure development. In April 2022, the government severely restricted the growing of opium poppies, previously a source of wealth. It must demonstrate that the regime can guide and rule Afghanistan despite the severe economic disruption and humanitarian crises. Thus, joining CPEC/the BRI makes sense to draw prospective foreign investment and business to Afghanistan. Additionally, the Taliban seek to end their diplomatic exile, but they only have a few international allies prepared to lend a hand without conditions and demands. The Taliban could find no more accessible working allies than China and Pakistan. For the Taliban, it is essential to have China, the more considerable power with more significant financial clout, involved in Afghan politics. How does this development advance China's and Pakistan's geopolitical and economic interests? This trend has substantially benefited China's view that security can be attained through economic growth. It has demonstrated that China's financial aid and development opportunities offered to the region in exchange for easing Chinese security worries may have only partially succeeded because the Taliban is a beast that must be regularly fed. China's role as a helpful mediator between Pakistan and Afghanistan has increased its significance and influence. China has not benefited economically from Afghanistan. Although Chinese interests in Afghanistan's rare minerals and natural resources have received considerable media attention, there is a history of such projects being abandoned or delayed in Afghanistan due to the dire security situation. Even if it is adopted, the growth of these industries takes years, so it will take some time before China sees any financial benefits. Adding Afghanistan to the CPEC could benefit Pakistan's transit routes, particularly those that pass through Gwadar port and the trans-Afghan Mazar-Sharif-Kabul-Peshawar corridor. Additionally, it gives the Pakistani government some necessary leverage when negotiating a ceasefire along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border and convincing the Afghan Taliban to reduce their support for the Pakistani Taliban. What likelihood do the Taliban have that Beijing will complete significant infrastructure projects? At this point, the three parties reasonably expect the projects to be low-risk and inexpensive. The Taliban certainly hope Beijing will increase its investment in Afghanistan, but they are also skeptical, given past failures to implement plans. The January 2023 Amu Darya oil contract reportedly had the following provision: if the said company does not fulfill all the materials and items mentioned in the notice within 1 year, the contract will be automatically terminated. That demonstrates the Taliban's skepticism before actual investment. The administration is also aware that limiting Uyghur insurgent activity inside Afghan territory can better ensure the safety of Chinese laborers and allay Chinese fears about security. For there to be a sustained influx of Chinese investment, these two issues would be crucial. Recent private meetings with Qatari officials show that the Taliban are also exploring alternative options for reviving the economy. It is evident that China is not easily deterred and is committed to the success of CPEC. Beijing maintains diplomatic and economic ties with both sides despite the rise in attacks against Chinese personnel in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the infrequent clashes along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border, and the periodic disputes between the Taliban and Pakistani authorities. Analyze how Beijing's sway over Pakistan expands its influence in Afghanistan and the wider region. Islamabad initially assisted in facilitating Chinese involvement with the Taliban in late 2000. China continued its diplomatic and economic participation through the various Afghan governments, helped by Pakistan. However, it began to forge its course for interaction in 2017, when it sponsored a trilateral conference between Pakistan's foreign minister and that of Afghanistan to ease political tensions between the two nations. After Pakistan's betrayal and lack of control over the Taliban, Beijing is now at ease dealing with the Taliban on its own, and keeps offering up promising economic opportunities to ensure its safety. Beijing's capacity to control Afghanistan and Pakistan substantially strengthens its case for assuming regional leadership in Eurasia. China has developed positive ties with Afghanistan's neighbors and actively collaborated directly and through the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) to advance world peace and achieve shared development.